Hi, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and today I'm unboxing the Sony Ericsson W995. W meaning that it is actually a Walkman phone. Clearly, then obviously it's going to be focused upon music. So we're going to just do a quick unbox for you, have a look at the handset itself. So we have an interesting box design where the top flap actually contains the manual and a CD-ROM. So the manual or user guide is on top, and typical of Sony Ericsson at the moment, it is more like a flap out leaflet than a booklet, and that's pretty typical for Sony Ericsson at the moment. There's also a bit about the MS410 speakers. As I say, we've got the CD-ROM, and inside that also we have important information and SAR information, and the CD-ROM contains PC Suite and MediaGo Experience software. There's also a leaflet about Play Now and about movies. So the W995 itself is inside the box here, as you can see. Come back to that in just a second, and we'll just have a look at what else is in the bottom half of the box. So we have cut out there from the top, then have set of wired headset, and the actual fact headset adapter. So we have the standard, Sony Ericsson proprietary style connector, a length of cable. Then we have this inline microphone with a push button. There's no volume control. There is a clip for clipping onto clothing though. But then there is a 3.5mm headphone socket. So that means that you can convert any headphones and also choose your own headphones as a wired headset. So that's kind of cool. The headphones that come with it, just take a quick look at. I think they're fairly typical of the Walkman range headphones. Let's just take a look. And yeah, they're the in-ear style headphones. These are pretty good. We've had these on a couple of other handsets, and they have been quite good. So there's a 3.5mm headphone socket on one end, and a fairly short cable, because obviously it does work with the inline microphone for the headset. So you don't really want too much cable, ideally. So that's a fairly short cable there with those headphones, and as I say, those headphones are pretty good. So they're in-ear style, and you do get different size rubber covers for the in-ear bits. And also in the box we do have that speaker, so we can actually plug in these external speakers to the handset. Interestingly, there's also this slide, so depending on the actual handset that you have, depending on where the position of the connector is, it will actually suit, because some of the Sony Ericsson handsets do have that connector further down, sort of in that sort of position, so it will slide across. That's a pretty neat idea, so that you can actually slide it into the correct position for the actual handset that it's working with, and then actually stand it on the table. And the idea is that it should stand up. I'm a little bit uneven on this surface here, so it's not going to stand, but it should do, but it doesn't on this surface that I'm recording on, so they're included as well. You notice that we're kind of missing a few things from this box, one being the charger, which is a bit of a pity. This is a PR model though, so it's been out to other reviewers, so we are missing the charger, and I believe there should be a USB to proprietary connector there for actually transferring music, video and all that sort of thing to and from the handset, but that's also missing from the box. Full retail version would obviously have those. So let's actually take a look at the handset itself. First and foremost, on the front we have a forward-facing VGA camera right in the centre there next to the loudspeaker, and then we do have a 2.6-inch display, which is coarse VGA, 240 by 320 pixels, fairly small, but not a bad resolution for such a small display. Quarter VGA isn't bad. Below that we have like a D-pad, and in the centre it has a play pause button. As I say, this is a music phone, so it's pretty much focused upon that. Soft keys under that, then we have the phone keys for send and end or answer and hang up your calls. Then we have a menu and a cancel button. D-pad obviously lets you navigate through the display also. Looking around to the left hand side then, we have the proprietary connector, and also we have a little Walkman button. Nothing really to speak of on the bottom. Does look like there's a grill. Whether or not that does actually contain a loudspeaker, there is a similar thing also on the top. You'll notice that there is a 3.5mm headphone connector, so you can use 3.5mm headphones without having to use the wired headset. There is a little loop there, so you can actually use it as a belt loop maybe, or you can actually hang it. I think the actual main idea is that you can actually use it to stand the Walkman up. Again, my surface that I'm recording on here isn't particularly even, so perhaps that's why it won't stand, but you can stand it either that way or that way with that little kickstand on the back there, so that's quite cool, especially if you're actually sitting there at a table watching video. You can actually use that. Right around onto the right hand side then we have a dedicated camera button, up and down volume control. Then we have the controls for playback, so looking at it that way around, we've got back, play, pause and forward, so we can actually skip tracks. Dedicated buttons there, that's pretty cool. On the back we have an 8.1 megapixel autofocus camera, and we do also have a flash, which is pretty good. There's no mirror for taking your self-portraits, but you know, I don't think too many people would be worried about that, but if that's something you're interested in, you're not going to be able to do that very easily. The back isn't even shiny enough to see your own reflection, but that's no great shakes. Underneath the back cover, which pops off like so, this is where our SIM card goes, and with the back cover off, it does reveal on the side here the memory card socket. It does take M2 micro memory cards up to 8 gig. 8 gig is supplied, but it does support only up to 8 gig of memory cards, and obviously the battery is already in place in there, so just pop the back cover on and click that back into place and close that back up. Also, we do have a sliding keypad mechanism, so we can slide the screen out of the way. The screen itself is quite slim, so when that moves out of the way it's quite thin. And then underneath we have a numeric keypad, so we do have just 12 keys, and they are pretty flat. They are individual keys though, and they have sort of a nice tactile feel to them, which is pretty good. They're nice and they're individual, and they're quite shiny, and they're quite cool, nice looking. As you see, they're quite flat, but you can get to them quite easily with one hand, so single-handed texting should be fairly reasonable, fairly easy to do. So that's pretty good, and that mechanism is pretty good. It is sort of like spring-loaded and fairly positive, so that does seem quite nice. Pretty decent looking handset. This one's a little battered because it is, as I say, a PR model, so it has been out to other reviewers that possibly haven't loved it quite as much as they should. But yeah, it isn't too bad, and not a bad looking handset. And if we just power on, hopefully there's enough power for it to come to life. And while it's actually powering up, let me run down the rest of the specification. It is quad band for GSM, so voice calls will work pretty much wherever you take it throughout the world, and dual band for HSDPA and 3G. So it's going to give you coverage most places when you're roaming. It does weigh only 113 grams, which isn't bad for considering you have the sliding mechanism, so it's pretty decent. Size-wise, 97mm from top to bottom, 48mm wide and 15mm thick. It doesn't feel particularly chunky, and is pretty cool. Like many other of the Sony Ericsson handsets though, it doesn't really want to do anything without SIM card, unfortunately. So we'll actually have a look in a bit more detail of the actual OS and user interface when it comes to do a full review rather than doing it on video. But you can actually run through a demo and you get an idea of how good the video is. And the screen is pretty decent, video playback is pretty good. Audio is decent. It actually is coming out of both ends, so it is in stereo. So that's quite cool. And if we just pause that, and we carry on talking about the specification. It does have 118 meg of built-in memory, which isn't a great deal, but you do have the memory card supply. It does have built-in GPS, and coupled with the 8 megapixel, 8.1 megapixel autofocus camera, you can geotag your images, which is quite good. We can also record video with the camera on the back, up to 30 frames a second, pretty decent. As you'd expect, it does support all of the other sort of SMS, MMS standards, and there is an email client and a web browser. According to the spec that I'm reading here, 370 hours of standby time and up to now 9 hours of talk time isn't bad at all. 3.5mm headphone jack, I've already mentioned, which is fairly unusual for Sony Ericsson handsets. Even the Walkman ones tend not to have that, they do require an adapter. Bluetooth 2 with A2DP support, and Wi-Fi supporting 802.11bng with DLNA support, so that's also quite good. HSDPA also supports up to 7.2 megabits per second, and HSUPA 2 megabits per second. So we'll have a full review of the Sony Ericsson W995 over the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk about the user interface with some sample images from the camera and some screen grabs and the like. The review will be on site on tracyandmatt.co.uk, as I say, over the next couple of weeks. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. On Twitter we are Tracy and Matt, and on Facebook we do have a fan page which is tracyandmatt.co.uk. If you missed any of that, just refer to the intro page of this video, which contains all the URLs, and don't forget to come over to tracyandmatt.co.uk to see this and other reviews.